What is it about this company that you see could be so transformative?
Well, what's exciting is whatever I do with a replicatable innovation playbook, if you will, doing 180 acquisitions at Cisco as an example. So when I look at startups, I've been very fortunate to almost get my pick of the litter on a global basis. Not sure I deserve that, but the VCs and the CEOs have been very kind. So I look for a market transition that is both a business model change and a technology change. I look for a world-class CEO in the making who wants to be coached, who's wicked smart. I look for customers who say, this is a company that you ought to invest in, and if you'd help them grow and scale, they could be a huge player in the industry. Then I look for the key industry analysts or VCs that I trust. What Rubrik has is all the above. It's right at the center of the cloud evolution and how you are just inundated with data, and yet the ability to get that from various public and private clouds in a secure way. Their customer list, I mean, when you talk to the customers, they gush over how exciting this company is and how valuable it is to them. And then the VCs, when you ask them about it, they say, John, this is my favorite play. So world-class CEO that I believe in one of the hottest areas, I'll make a prediction, this will be one of the hot stocks of this next decade.
So you think it's going to go public, not be an acquisition target?
I hope that it goes public, and we'll share with you why I think that. That's job creation, and I want to see more jobs created in this country.
So Bipul, you're taking on companies like Dell EMC. These are very established incumbents. What do you think is the unmet opportunity here?
As businesses are grappling with the data and data growth around the world, and as the cloud is coming into the picture, everybody is looking at a single platform that can span from on-premises to the cloud. And Rubrik was born in the cloud era, and whereas all the other companies that we compete with were born before cloud, before virtualization. So we are uniquely positioned to take advantage of the cloud opportunity. In fact, our growth in some ways is indexed to the growth of the cloud.
You know what's exciting, Emily? You look at the numbers, 5 million, 50 million, 150 million, over 300 million this year, 250 people just 18 months ago, 1,200 today. It is a growth opportunity that's going to be really exciting. But what's hard for your readers to grasp is what makes this exciting to me. It's a platform for the future in data management. It is the next Cisco, if you will, potentially, or the next Dell, or the next SAP, or the next Oracle.
All right, well, that's a very high recommendation. Bipul, one of your services targets ransomware, which is the process by which hackers take control of a company's data, then hold it for ransom.
Yep.
Essentially, it's been a very difficult problem for the industry to solve. We've seen some high-profile ransomware attacks in Atlanta, the NotPetya attack, which actually crippled computers around the world. Is it getting harder to stop this, or easier because now they're becoming more high-profile and hackers are seeing the impact?
Hackers are always finding newer ways to attack, so it's a little bit of a cat and mouse game. We looked at this problem at Rubrik at the architecture level and said that, can we build a platform that is immune to current attacks and future attacks? And that's what Rubrik does. We uniquely built a platform that is an immutable data management system where hackers cannot get to. And we are helping like hospitals and law firms and very large global businesses around the world to not only detect ransomware through our radar platform as SaaS, but also to mitigate the ransomware problems through instant recovery across all of their applications.
Meantime, we're hearing new information from Facebook and Twitter about attempts to meddle in the U.S. election. We're in the middle now, John, of a trade war, having run one of the biggest enterprise companies in the world for 2 decades. What are your biggest concerns about the sort of state of the U.S. economy? Well,
first, on the U.S. economy, it's stronger than most people realize. When you talk to citizens out there, their paychecks are going up. They know they've got a good job, or they can find another good job. The enterprise CEOs are probably as bullish on the economy as I've seen them in a decade.
Is a trade war a good approach?
Well, no. Trade war is an undesirable outcome. But I do think we had to get a fair trading position with our global peers. And I think for many years, China was a great win-win partner. I think over the last decade that has developed into win-lose. We have to correct that. But it's in China's best interest and the U.S. best interest to solve that. But what's exciting is you look at what's going on in countries like India that are growing GDP at 7 to 10%, and the relationship's never been stronger. You look what's going on in Europe. So I think we'll work through these challenges, and unfortunately, Emily, I think this is more the new status quo. There are always going to be bumps and uncertainties. They're going to occur at a faster and faster pace. World-class countries or world-class companies will steer their way through that.
There are some pretty big potential bumps in the future. In fact, President Trump said today that he thinks the stock market would crash if he is impeached. It's hard to believe that we're even talking about this, but we are. I mean, do you think there's any truth to that, the impeachment of a president, or even that kind of statement? Is it scary when a president says such a thing?
Well, you know, one of the fun things about the job I do is I coach the young CEOs how to handle difficult questions. So, Bipul, that is yours. Let me take it. The answer is the market does not like uncertainty. And I think what you've seen is with a strong economy and finally getting GDP growth back above 4% and full employment and people getting raises, it gets nervous when there is uncertainty. But I do think that is the new norm. And our country's always been able to navigate through that. And I think we're making changes on tax law that needed to be done. We're finally getting the average American to really have a raise, which we haven't done before. My worry is actually something different. I think our nation is losing its innovation image. We used to be #1 in innovation. We didn't even make Bloomberg's top 10 innovation countries. We used to, during the mid-90s, when you were generating 22.5 million jobs in 8 years, we took 700 plus companies public per year. Now we're barely going to get over 200 this year. Startups are almost at a 20-year low. So I think we need to become the innovation country again and the startup engine again. That's actually what I lose sleep over. And it's why I want to see both role models, but also our country get back to being the very best in the world in startups and job creation.
Bipul, what about this meddling in the election? I mean, Facebook now saying it's not just Russia, but Iran that's doing this. And who knows, potentially China, North Korea, potentially the U.S. is doing this to other countries. I mean, just how vulnerable is our democracy?
If you look at businesses fundamentally depend upon data and application. And as individuals, we are using data and application in our everyday life, and that creates all sort of vulnerabilities. So as a country, as a global economy, we need to focus on how do we secure our data and how do we allow people, businesses and individuals to get back to the right state of their applications and data. If you look at Rubrik, that is our goal. We are helping businesses around the world to secure their data, create compliance governance on the data, and allow right people to have the right access. These problems will only increase as the digitization increase, and we have to grapple with it as a global economy.
We've been talking a lot about Elon Musk, and John, you know the pressures of running a public company. Do you have sympathy for Elon Musk, or do you think he needs to buck up?
I think every CEO goes through a period of challenges and opportunities. And Jack Welch many years taught me, I thought I had a great company in the late 90s, and he said, John, you have a good company, not a great one. And I said, what does it take to have a great company? And he said, a near-death experience. At the time, I didn't get it, but it is absolutely true. For a CEO to lead, or for a company to be a great company, you have to not only do well during the good times, but you have to handle the times when you get knocked on your backside. And it hurts. And you have to search how much of it was self-inflicted, how much of it is market, get your strategy right, and then come really back. But you've got to deal with the issues and be candid about what is internally creative versus others. It's part of the CEO role today. You've got to be able to handle the good times and the challenges and be able to communicate what you're going to do during the challenging times.
He doesn't seem to be able to handle that, though.
I think he'll make that. He's a smart man. It's like anybody else. You go through the bumps and they surprise you, and all of a sudden, I've been there. You're a top CEO in America, et cetera, could not do anything wrong, and all of a sudden people question, should I be able to lead my company? Jack Welch called me up at the end of 2001, and he said, John, you know I have a great company. I said, Jack, it doesn't feel like it. My stock's down, my shareholders have lack of confidence, the employees are questioning. He said, until you go through that as a leader in a company, you will never have a great company. He was right. It's much like our kids. Our kids, until they go through their challenges, as a parent, we just want them to get through that. Now, the fun thing about coaching is I get to help people go through this in a way that perhaps I didn't have mentors or coaches who did that on an across-the-board basis.
So what other tech trends are you so excited about? I know, you've invested in drones. You invested in all kinds of other enterprise technology.
It's all about getting the market transitions right. So the Internet of Things is huge. So we do drones, connectivity. It's all about security, to your other point, probably 5 investments in security. It's It's about open, transparent government, which you just hit on. It is about how social media, with a company like Sprinkler, mines data across 26 social media platforms. It literally is about ag tech with crickets, and I should have brought some crickets for you to eat today in terms of the direction. And now it's about cloud, data management, et cetera. So I try to pick what are the key market transitions going on that are enabled business models and technology, and I have been fortunate enough to pick some young CEOs who I really believe in their future.